New evidence suggests Satoshi Nakamoto is Paul Salochi, the creator of encryption software E4M and TrueCrypt. I'm Kieran from CryptoBoost, and I'm happy to have you here with me today. And we're going to go into this fun, more speculative topic, and hope you enjoy the video. Paul Salochi Galder Leroux, a 46-year-old criminal mastermind, is the creator of encryption software E4M and TrueCrypt. TrueCrypt is a cryptography encryption software which can be downloaded to encrypt your hard drives, file system, and so on, and was also used by Satoshi Nakamoto. Hypothetically, was used by Satoshi Nakamoto to lock up 1 million BTC. And Salochi Calder is also the author of an uncannily similar manifesto to the one in Bitcoin's white paper in 1998. That's not all. Paul Salochi Calder Leroux employs similar spelling and language in his writing style to that of Satoshi. He's interested in gambling. An important thing to note is that Bitcoin's initial code had a poker client included. And what's more important is that Salochi Calder Leroux has been in jail since 2012. That's also probably the reason why his 1 million Bitcoin hasn't moved since then. So let's start from the beginning. The identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous and enigmatic creator of Bitcoin, is perhaps the most enduring mysteries of modern times. It's long been speculated as to who he, she, or they are, but to no avail. The long-standing mystery remains. There have been, of course, a number of theories and candidates as to who Nakamoto really is, some of whom are even self-nominated, like Craig Wright, the man known as Fake Toshi, but in my opinion no one really believes that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. Wright has courted controversy by claiming to be the creator of Bitcoin, which has led to multiple lawsuits and court hearings. And one of the more important court cases is Kleinman versus Wright. Has surfaced new evidence in the form of a Wikipedia page, which was not redacted, so in my opinion that's all just a joke. So who's this new Satoshi Nakamoto candidate? So the newfound Satoshi candidate is Paul Salochi Calder Leroux. He's a 46-year-old former cartel boss, drug smuggler, arms dealer, and informant to the US Drug Enforcement Administration DEA, and he's also a very good programmer, which is important, as you will see. As seen from Leroux's Wikipedia page, the man lived in a quite eventful life with a career that included gold smuggling, precious metals mining, logging, land deals, drug and arms trafficking, money laundering, assassinations, encryption software development, and much more. Also stated on Leroux's Wikipedia page, Leroux is currently in US custody for ordering the assassination of 6 people. Some readers may already be familiar with Leroux's life story, as it was presented in a series on Atavis along with a book titled The Mastermind. So an excerpt summarizing the publication states he was a brilliant programmer and a vicious cartel boss who became a prized US government asset. Apart from Leroux's life as a cartel boss, he was also a brilliant programmer who created E4M, an open source free Windows disk encryption software program in 1999. As well, he is also suspected to be the creator of open source TrueCrypt disk cryptography package, which is based on E4M's code. How did a man of this nature with an extensive criminal background and some impressive programming contributions under his belt come to be tied to Craig Wright's court case and suspected to be Satoshi Nakamoto? Let's find out. So the Kleinman versus Wright lawsuit and ties point to Paul Leroux. So self-proclaimed Satoshi Craig Fake Toshi is being sued by the Kleinman family on accusations that Wright defrauded and stole over $1 billion worth of BTC and hard drives from the now deceased Dave Kleinman, a noted computer forensics expert who's suspected to be a Satoshi Nakamoto. So Wright and Kleinman were business partners until Kleinman died in 2013. The lawsuit that's unfolding in Florida courts has been filed with bizarre theories, misdirections, forgeries, and mistruths, which were often presented by the defendant, Dr. Wright. Among the bizarre things brought forth by Wright is document 187, Dr. Wright's motion for protective order. According to Wright, some of the evidence that supports he is Satoshi and that the $11 billion worth of Bitcoin is his own includes sensitive information about his ties to criminals and his involvement in their apprehension and incarceration. Therefore, document 187 has been redacted so that criminals included in the document would not learn of Wright's involvement with their arrests and seek repercussions against them. However, unfortunately for Wright, whoever was redacting the document failed to black out one of the corresponding footnotes that identifies the criminal kingpin in question, Paul LaRue. This is the first tie between the both. As seen in the footnote above, a partial URL is visible that leads to a Daily Mail article that calls LaRue a real-life Bond villain behind a cocaine and gun empire spanning 4 continents, who's now turned super snitch. Also, the unredacted footnote clearly contains a link to Paul LaRue's Wikipedia page, indicating that LaRue may very well be one of the criminals that Wright is afraid of repercussions from. The ultimate theory that Paul LaRue is Satoshi Nakamoto and Craig Wright's role in all of it is the following. The public release of document 187, it's now being suggested that Paul LaRue may be Satoshi Nakamoto and that Wright is in possession of encrypted hard drives containing LaRue's stash of the famously stationary 1 million bitcoins. But how does Craig Wright, Dave Kleinman, and Paul LaRue all fit into this perplexing conspiracy theory? Per document 187 and the unredacted information about LaRue, there's a strong assumption that LaRue is the unnamed individual that Wright talks about in the document. Therefore, information outlaid in the document combined with some theorization suggests that Wright was an employee of LaRue and also an informant who helped bring him down in 2012. Following this presumed tale of events, one anonymous Redditor suggests that Wright and his long-term friend and business partner Dave Kleinman managed to get their hands on LaRue's encrypted hard drives that hold 1 million bitcoins. However, unfortunately for Wright, all of LaRue's coins are locked away in secure TrueCrypt volumes, the cryptography encryption software suspected to be developed by LaRue. Wright has spent years trying to crack these hard drives, but with no success, which is why he has yet to prove he is Satoshi. Adding to the conspiracy theory, Wright's close friend Calvin Ayre has set up warehouses of computers to try and crack the encrypted hard drives code, disguising them as a cryptocurrency mining farm, meaning his mining activity is simply a front to make these massive data centers look legitimate. Therefore, according to this bewildering yet entirely possible theory, the reason Wright is setting himself up as the real Satoshi is so when he finally cracks the encrypted hard drives and gains access to the 1 million Bitcoin, he can attempt to legitimately sell them off. The image above is from a document. The image is from a document in the Kleinman v. Wright case and presents claims from Wright where he states that he's in possession of Kleinman's TrueCrypt files that contains his stored Bitcoin. According to Wright, it may be possible to crack the code within 5 to 10 years. All in all, it has been speculated that the TrueCrypt files Wright is in possession of are not Kleinman's, but in fact LaRue's. We understand that at this point it's a lot of information to take in and you probably still have doubts and many questions, which is completely understandable. However, there are more strong parallels between Satoshi Nakamoto and Paul LaRue. Apart from the allegations of Wright's association with LaRue, there are numerous curious coincidences that support the case that the criminal mastermind LaRue is Satoshi. The first one is the following. Paul Leroux alias is Solochi Calder Leroux. So in one of many passports Leroux owned, he goes by the name Solochi, which sounds very similar to Satoshi. Number 2. Leroux is a brilliant programmer and familiar with C++. So is Satoshi. Before Leroux was known to be involved in an array of criminal endeavors, he was a brilliant programmer with an obsession for cryptography and privacy, much like Satoshi Nakamoto. As previously mentioned, in 1997, he began working on E4M encryption for the masses, which is software capable of encrypting entire disks, with an option for plausible deniability, denying the existence of encrypted volumes. Moreover, Leroux published a kind of manifesto that expresses ideas strikingly similar to those of Satoshi Nakamoto. In the politics section of the E4M website, Leroux published a kind of manifesto stating that governments are increasingly relying on electronic data gathering, citing projects such as Echelon, linked to the 5 nation states, which would become known as the 5 Eyes. More than a decade later, he stated that encryption is the only way to preserve civil liberties. At the end of Leroux's manifesto, he states, "Strong encryption is the mechanism with which to combat these intrusions, preserve your rights, and guarantee your freedom into the information age and beyond." Number 3. Leroux is suspected to have developed TrueCrypt, the encryption software protecting Satoshi Nakamoto's $1 million Bitcoin. 1 million Bitcoins. Satoshi Nakamoto's 1 million Bitcoins are allegedly locked away in secure TrueCrypt volumes, encryption software that's based on E4M's code. Leroux is highly suspected to have been a part of a team of anonymous developers called the TrueCrypt team. This suspicion is compelling because some of Leroux's former colleagues believed he had worked on it, but they couldn't find any corroborating evidence, so it still remains a mystery. All in all, if anyone could have hidden wallets containing 1 million BTC, it would have been the creator of disk encryption software TrueCrypt. Number 4. Satoshi's disappearance lines up with Leroux's new endeavors. Satoshi's disappearance in early 2011 to move on to other things. Around the same time, Leroux transitioned from his field of software development to Cartel boss. During this time, he experienced disruptions with his illegal global pharmaceutical business RX Limited when the US government and the DEA restricted distribution. Wikipedia's page states, around 2011, Leroux began to disappear for long periods of time with none of his employees knowing his whereabouts. As US authorities were closing in on him, Leroux took up temporary residence in Rio de Janeiro and planned his move there. Leroux's disappearance, and need to lie low, coincides with Satoshi's disappearance, indicating yet another strong parallel. Number 5. A curious post from 2002, 7 years before Bitcoin was created, may have been written by Leroux. In a forum post from 2002, 7 years before Bitcoin was released, someone posted something that sounds an awful lot like an early idea of Bitcoin. I have this idea of a future with virtual peer-to-peer banking, a kind of decentralized and secured system. Gone will be the times that government and banks can track and interfere with our money transfers, or even interfere with the total amount of money on Earth. My envisioned system would have a fixed total amount of money, but each money unit, say virtual coin, is divisible indefinitely, so a kind of deflation would replace inflation. The total value of the money in the world will be a fixed number. It poses no problem for liquidity because the currency can be divided any time. However, maybe people will not spend their money much because its value will increase often. Other problems raise in areas of security, malicious use, and how to come towards such a system from current systems. These are just ideas. I like to hear comments about the net resources on this subject. It's long been speculated that Satoshi himself wrote this post before actually creating Bitcoin 7 years later. Even more interestingly, the IP address of the author has supposedly been traced to the Netherlands, a country where LaRue is known to have once lived. There are also more parallels suggesting LaRue is Satoshi. Both were wary of authority. LaRue expressed this in his E4M manifesto, and Satoshi expressed this in his Bitcoin white paper. Both had an interest in online gambling. LaRue is known to have participated in online gambling activities, and Bitcoin's initial code had a poker client included. Both understood that a new digital payment system was needed to improve upon the difficulties of traditional payment systems. LaRue dealt with clunky online payments in his online prescription drug market, and Satoshi expressed understanding of payments in the Bitcoin white paper. They both used similar spelling and language: analyze, color, defense, bloody, and hard. LaRue was a multimillionaire, if not billionaire, and as such wouldn't have needed to cash out his BTC once the price began rising. So the question is Paul Solochi Calder LaRue Satoshi Nakamoto? Despite all of the surface evidence that suggests LaRue could be Satoshi Nakamoto, there are still reasons to believe this is not the case. For example, in 2009, when Satoshi was refining Bitcoin, LaRue was already establishing himself as a cartel boss, and is known to have been drug smuggling and gun running. How would Satoshi be able to do all of this while also starting a forum and answering noob questions about Bitcoin? Therefore, one could argue that Wright's claim to an association with LaRue are completely fabricated in an effort to show that he was connected with the origins of Bitcoin. After all, Wright doesn't have the best reputation in the crypto space, and few aside from Calvin R believe a word he says, including claims that he created Bitcoin and is Satoshi Nakamoto. Therefore, everything Wright says must be rigorously fact-checked and treated with caution. So, however, if Wright's dubious connection with LaRue is true and Satoshi is in fact Satoshi, it would be one of the most incredible stories ever told, and Quentin Tarantino would be already jumping on the film rights. So, what do you think? Do you think Solochi is a true candidate to be Satoshi Nakamoto? Post your comments down below, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.